Hello, Umut here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm here with another mini journal and this is for spring. Spring is here and I'm going to create one for every season this year. I have my winter one. If you missed it, I'm going to link it down below at the description area. I'm getting down to business immediately. This time I'm using Art by Marlene Studio Lights mini journal dies. You will find the link down below as well if you're wondering which one, and I'm going to show you later anyway. After I cut it, this time I'm doing something different. I'm using my embossing folders on the cover. I had an embossing folder with flowers and I thought it would be nice to have this on the cover. And I have these dies from the Darker Arts in my stash. And I thought I could cut again the flap of the cover with that in my die cut machine, Sizzix machine, and create another different cover of my own. You can play with your embossing folders and dies like this to create another type of journal every time. It gives me a pleasure to be creative with it actually. To create something new every time. You see my cover is absolutely gorgeous with that embossing folder and I cut this, but don't worry, I'm going to cut it from both sides so I can make it a flap as well. Next stage is I'm going to play with my sidekick machine from Sizzix again. This is for the mini dies and I'm cutting lots of things like flowers. These are from Tim Holtz, some branches. I thought for sure I'm going to use these for a spring journal, and I'm going to show you now what I created with this journal. See, I cut these and this is the cover, so it's embossed. I have my pages inside and I embossed another page which is in the middle with a little embossing folder again that I had. I had these ones in my stash for a very long time which I never used, so I thought it was about time. To give color to my pages, I have this box. I'm just recycling it. And I thought I could spray inside without making a mess for once. And I'm using my Berkeley acrylic sprays, gloss sprays. And I'm going to go with pastel tones. I think it's very fitting for spring. So I'm going with sand color, apricot, and all these pastelish tones. Instead of talking here, I'll just leave you with music and catch you back because it's quite a straightforward process. I'm using the sprays, sometimes water, mixing a couple of colors and creating my backgrounds in a fast way. Welcome back. We are done with the spraying and I'm going to show you how it looks. This is the sand color on the cover. I wanted a muted cover. And inside, again, as I told you, there are the spring colors, mostly pastels, like soft fairy tale like colors. And I can decorate it with flowers and butterflies. So let's start. I started with this pink page and I'm going to go with the chronological order that I created these pages. I'm going to use several background stamps at the back. So I use the script stamp. This is a waffle flower die. It makes a gift bag, little gift bag that I had from ages ago. You cut it and it cuts with the places to fold, the signs to fold, and it's very easy to make. And there is this handle as well as some flowers that you can decorate it. I cut it with one of my scrapbook papers, which is green, and I am just going around the edges with this sepia color to make some shading so it looks more realistic. And I'm just building it. It's very easy to use. I bought this years ago and I didn't use it much, to be honest. It was with the very beginning of my crafting journey. But these videos, these mini journals, are actually my way of using my stash. I try to be creative in my mind and look at my stash, looking at all those things there, and try to really use them, and this was one of them. So I'm really glad I gave some chance to this die, and I would invite you to do the same. Don't try to match what I'm using and trying to hunt down every single supply I use. I won't give links for everything that I'm using, because that's not the point. I think the message is, if you have these mini journal dies, or even if you don't, you can cut them in the size that you want and make a concept, have fun with it, create a few pages using your supplies that you have. That's my approach to it. At least it gave me the opportunity to use many scrapbook papers that I didn't use and other things. In the meantime, I just gave color to my die cuts, the flowers from Tim Holtz. This is an Art by Marlene die with the leaves, and I just added a couple of them as well because I thought I could add more. I'm coloring them with my inks, archival inks, with a couple of colors or one color, doesn't matter. Just tucking them in this bag, creating a bouquet of flowers, which I really love. I think they stand out really well over the pastel pink, and the bag looks nice with green and beige. I am going with pastelish colors, as you see, with sometimes a pop of color. And I decided to use Nuvo drops in the middle of these little flowers to give a little bit interest. Now it's time for the sentiment. I'm going to use for all the journal the same sentiment set. This is from 7 Dot Studio, and it's quite an old set that I had again in my stash. So I'll be using them because they have some pastel colors and I thought it goes well. And I just stick it on my bag. I'm going to go around the edges of all journals, all pages, with this sepia archival ink instead of black, because I think it goes better with the colors. And again, I'm not going to repeat that process, just assume it's all there. And you can see the close-up pictures after I show the pages as well. Coming to the second page, I'm going with a text stamp and stamped it with the sepia ink again, another brand. And I'm using some die cuts. This is not a die cut, it's from a scrapbook paper that I cut some time ago myself. Again, I'm using whatever is in my stash here and there, lying around. That's the idea. And I will keep that page quick and easy and leave it there after gluing the sentiment. Coming to the page that has double pages, that will be in the middle. This S is from a Stamperia paper pad. I thought it goes well with spring, so I'm going to use it. And these branches are from a Tim Holtz die cut set with the flowers. Before I do anything else, I'm going to work on the background a little bit. I thought it was a bit plain, so I took a green ink, and I have this music note stamp from Kaiserkraft, and I'm going to stamp it all around the background. Again, any background stamp that you have will be perfectly fine. The objective is to have something going on at the back instead of a plain background. I'm going to glue down this S. You can use your stamps to create the letters, by the way. And I have a few butterflies in my stash from recent hauls. I don't know if you watched them, but I can link them down below again. I had a craft haul where I bought lots of butterflies, and here are the dies that I used for the branches as well. And I used this Marianne design punch dies for creating these little flowers and little leaves. I love those dies. I used them a lot before because they are very versatile. There are a few of them with fish, seashells, leaves, and flowers. And I find it when you want to have little flowers, little objects in a short time without cutting them, it works pretty well. And I used my sprays to give them color because I'm going to decorate these branches as a part of the tree. I'm going to use again my Nuvo drops in white for the center of my flowers. If I can find the Marianne design little dies, I'm going to link again down below. Check the description area for the supplies that I could find and link. Again, I'm not going to link all of them. If they are substantial, like something that I would think you would be interested, I'm going to try and find and link down below. This is a little wooden alphabet set from Dovecraft, so I wrote spring with it. And I'm going to complete the sentiment with my sticker again. I think it's quite fitting, rays of warmth, so it's spring rays of warmth. And I'm going again around the edges with the sepia ink to create my frame. And I'm using my white gel pen from Arteza to do some highlights over my butterflies and the flowers and everything on the page. And here is the page. We are in the next day, as you understood. I have this stencil, so I continue with the other page. I'm going to use this stencil with flowers. On this page I'm using my light modeling paste from Liquitex, and I'll just go over the page with this completely, and I'm going to leave it aside to dry. While it's drying, I'm going to move on to another page because I don't want to deal with drying it. This is a stencil from Visible Image. I saw it in Marta's channel, Marem Small Art. I'm sure you know her. And she used it in a way that impressed me, so I just went and bought it. And I'm going to use one of Dina's sprays, the dark blueberry color. And as you see, it leaves a beautiful image. And not to waste the paint on the stencil, I'm just going to use it over another page. I thought it was good to use it over yellow, and just press it with a dry tissue so that I don't get a mess, and I really like it. It's an organic texture. And I'm going to spray this pink over the other yellow page too while I'm at it, just to prepare it for the future. So I'm just going to also use this other stencil from Tim Holtz, which has flowers. So the I mean, when you say spring, flowers and butterflies are the focal points, I think. So I'm going to again use this and leave it to dry so that they are ready when I'm going to decorate. This is a Dilutions stamp set that I had for ages. It's an old one, and I'm going to use the leaves to decorate this yellow page. As you see, I prepared all my a few pages and set them aside to dry, not deal with drying it with a heat gun or waiting. While they are drying on the side, I'm just working on other pages, which is really nice because we are working on a mini journal. These are pages, the papers my friend sent me. They are from Mintai. If you are interested, they're a Polish company and you can find them in Europe. I'm not sure about US, but they are booklets with birds, bugs, butterflies. And I cut this bird's nest to place in the middle of my leaves, and I cut a little bird to watch over the nest. And I cut more actually, so that there are a few birds on the page. I colored some of the leaves with brown. I thought it makes it more interesting and substantial. I'm going to draw the legs of the birds. Of course, I didn't cut them with my pen, and I'm going to give a little bit shadow under them so that it looks more realistic. Not like they are glued down. And I think after that I'm almost done. I'm going to go around the edges with the sepia ink. I was not convinced with the legs, they need to be darker. Using my white gel pen for the highlights all around the page, and finally gluing down my sentiment. After gluing my sentiment, I call this done. I just want to go over the edges with ink so that they are not white. And I like the page. I'm moving on to the page next door. There are pink roses there, and I just want a different page. I don't want a major focal point. I just play with my pages. I have these little clouds. Not sure what I used to cut them. Probably a die from that came from somewhere. I can't see myself buying it, but here they are. And I have lots of little birds using the same punch dies from Marianne's designs. And I'm going to color them with my inks in different colors. I have lots of them. So I'm going to change the inks after every few birds. I won't go over the edges of the birds. I'm not crazy. So I'll just glue down the clouds and the birds all over the page. After having all my birds, all I have to do is glue it down all around the page. As you see, all colorful birds. And I am going to use my sentiment. Dreams have no limits. I think it's quite fitting with the sky and the birds all flying around it and the edges, and I'm done with that page. Moving on to another one, I'm going to use this vine leaves stamp from Fiskars on this page. I'm using a darker shade of green. The page is yellow greenish, and I'm using this on the side of the page to stamp it so that there's some interest. I'm using also these little splashes, dots, whatever stamp. Again, using a green stamps ink. It's not green, sorry, it's sepia. I have this grass die cut from Long Phone. I'm going to show it later. And I decided to I cut it again. It's something I haven't used in this video. I think the concept is the dies and embossing folders that I haven't used for years. Somehow I felt like die cutting probably, which is not my favorite activity to be honest, but I have some of them, so I might as well use. I like this grass die. I'm just mostly too lazy to cut it, but I cut it, and after going through that I decided not to use it. I didn't want to cut this process to show you. Sometimes you change your mind, things change, and I just didn't edit that out, and you will see that I'm going to use it on another page, so all is fine. I use these butterflies, and another friend of mine sent them to me again, and on this sticker set there were flowers too, so I used them. I thought they are popping nicely against this light background. And I have these little dies again. I cut them before, I think, and I left it in my stash to use them later. So I'm coloring them in a way, just with my ink pads with different colors. So I used some turquoise and orange and pink. As you see, they're all mixed colors, and I'm just gluing them together with my butterflies. I think it's a really nice colorful page, and I'm using this gold little pen. It's like the Nova Drops from Stamperia, to have the gold dots around the page here and there, and in the middle of the flowers. It's hard to stop really once you start with these things. Last thing to do is to have a sentiment on it using the same stickers, and that's ready. I'm using again this stamp set from Dilutions, and I'm going to use these circles this time, again with my sepia ink, and I'm going to stamp it here and there to create a background on this yellow page again. I have my papers next to me, again from Mintel, and I'm going to cut a few of these ladybugs to use on this page. I have this red butterfly from a sticker set that I have, and I think these red bugs go really well with this, and they pop really nicely over this yellow background. Again, I'm going to have a sentiment from the same set in black this time. I think again it pops really nicely. And I'm using my Faber-Castell brush pen to do some shadows around these little animals. With that, I'm going to call this page done. I also did some splashes to some of these pages, or maybe all, I don't know. You see from the pictures it was off camera after I finished. Here are brown splashes on this one. I think it gives a nice movement to the pages. I'm going to use, I return back to this pink one, and I'm going to use this stencil again with beautiful leaves, vine leaves, and I'm going to use my Arteza paint in green in different shades. One is olive green, one is forest green, And I'm using my sponge. This is a makeup sponge, cheap one that I bought from the drugstore. And I'm just dabbing it onto my stencil to create the leaves. This way, rather than one color, they look so much more realistic and nice. And while I have the paint, I want to do those splashes that I was talking about, at least on this page and the next page while I'm at it, because green goes with both. And I'm going to use my stickers on these leaves. I'm going to make some dots in different colors so that it's like they have flowers or some fruits in different colors. This is from Nuvo, but they are all glittery. I used the yellow, orange, coral color, and this is purple. You will see that over green they look really nice in different colors. I really love it. And I'm going to use this yellow one in the center of the other page, other flowers as well. And here is my sentiment, and I'm done with that page as well. And here are the close-up photos for both of these pages after I used stickers on both of them. And I think the green splashes really make it more energetic, and something is going on at the back, which is nice. These are the pages inside the flaps. I'm going to use my bricks stamp for this, and I'm using again the sepia ink. I don't mind if it's not a perfect impression. There is embossing at the front, so it's not flat, but it makes it all the more interesting with this imperfect impression. I'm going to do the same with the flap too, just to have it covered. Not that I'm going to decorate it. And I'm just going around the edges quite generously with the sepia ink, especially the flap. And here are my long phone die cuts to cut some grass. I think they look really cute. I'm going to create a scenery here with the grass and outdoor scenery. I'm going to color this the same way I colored the other. I'm just going on. I'm just putting it on the inks. This way I'm just getting a more vibrant impression rather than using a sponge. That's why I prefer to do it this way. From the same paper set, I am going to cut the birds that will be vibrant on this background, and of course I will use some butterflies. So I chose the ones from my stickers and papers and fussy cut them, and I'm going to glue them down. After I glue them down, I'm going to draw the branches with my Faber-Castell marker. You can use any marker that you own or paint, or doesn't matter. I just want to give somewhere for my birds to sit, basically, and I'm going to stick the butterflies all over the page. After that, I'm going to make some splashes again with sepia color. And I'm going to go over these objects with my white pen so that I make sure I have highlights on all of them. For the next page, I'm going to use this crackle stamp from Stamperia. Again, you can use any background stamp you want. I'm using this sepia ink again. And just stamping the background to have something going on over this pink. I think it looks really nice because it creates a nice contrast and interest at the back. I have another piece of scrap that I have in my stash. This is from Stamperia too, and I'm going around it with the sepia ink again. It looks like a tag and has a sentiment on it already, so I'm going to use this natural twine to make it a tag, and glue it on my page so that there's another interest, and these mixed media elements make the pages much more interesting. And I decided to use these stones as well, and these are stones from Prima. They come in 3 different sizes. I have 2. There is one that is really big as well, much bigger than this. This is the medium size, and there is one you will see now, which is really thin and fine, kind of like sand. So I'm going to put it and leave it aside to dry, because I glued it with matte medium. In the meantime, I'm going to work on my cover. I'm doing the same on the cover like I did in the inside. I'm going around the edges with this sepia ink so that there's a nice frame. And on the, as you see, it's embossed, so there are raised places. This is a Prima wax and it's olive green. So I'm going to go over this with this wax. The embossed parts, the raised parts, catch the wax more, so it creates a nice effect, and it's shiny. And I think these earthy colors really go with the spring theme, with the all pastel colors that I used inside. And you will see I'm going to decorate these flowers anyway with other things. I'm going to use this sticker set that I had in my stash for ages for the sentiment. I'm going to write spring. I want it to be clear that it's a spring mini journal like I did for the winter one. So I'm just sticking down all these letters, going around the I went around the edges with the S, but I decided it gets lost a little bit, so for the rest I didn't do it. But I decided it still got lost, beige over beige, so I decided that I'm going to color them with my marker. I used my Faber-Castell Bit Brush marker. And now, as you see, it stands out really well, being brown. And for the flowers, the inside center of flowers, I decided to use my enamel dots. I had lots of these in my stash. Again, I'm not using them very often, so I'm really happy that I found a place that I can use them. They match the inside page colors, being all pastel and nice, so there is some kind of harmony and cohesiveness in my journal. After this, I'm also going to use my Nuo drops in clear to go around it and make some other dots, because why not? I'm doing it with the little flowers, the center of them, and even outside the flowers, here and there on the page. It's hard to stop really. So it looks, there are these raised elements and it looks more interesting. And I'm doing the splashes with brown, so that it matches everything inside. I'm also going on this sentiment with white gel pen to make some highlights. Afterwards I leave it to dry again, and I'm going to continue with the pages inside. This is a lilac blue page, and I am using this big stencil. This is from Dilutions, one of her first stencils, again from the first days of my crafting, and I used a couple of colors, olive green and turquoise, to dab my sponge inside the stencil to make a two colored leaf, because it makes it again more realistic. I glued down this big butterfly and a couple of little cute bugs in the center of it. I'm using this cauliflower blue to do some stamping at the back. I thought it was a bit plain, and this is my text stamp, and I think it looks really cute now. I'm going to put a sentiment like I did for the others. I'll also do lots of highlights on my butterfly and little bugs. I'm giving their antennas and legs as well. And afterwards I decided I should make this more interesting, and I'm using my stickles. I will use my stickles on the bugs, you will see that. But I didn't do it yet. I'm working on the next page now. Again, a scrap paper from Stamperia. I am distressing it a bit, and I'm going around it with the sepia ink. Before that, again, I'm using this little dots splashes stamp for the page. I used sepia and cauliflower blue again. And I am going to glue it down. I decided to use some birds and bugs again. I know some of you maybe don't like bugs, but they're part of our nature and they have jobs to do as well. So I feel bad that a lot of people don't like them, but look how pretty they are. They have beautiful colors, and again they have their place in the system. So I'm going to use them. Here is the place that I decided to give sparkles to my bugs. I'm using a transparent stickle, but it has glitter, but it will not alter the colors of my bugs. They are already beautiful. I'm going to do it on the other page as well, as I told you. I really like these two pages. I think they are beautiful, and while I'm at it, I gave dots to my butterfly too and set it aside to dry again. I'm returning to this page to make my stones, to give my stones color. So I'm just using this sponge and my sepia ink to dab on it, which made it look like real stones, because now they have different colors. And I'm going around this to give some shadow so that it looks better, doing the same for my bag as well. Now that my texture paste is dry, I'm going to give color to this one. I used the stencil in the reverse side, but never mind, it will be an upside down flower hanging from the tree. I'm using my gelatos to give color to the texture paste. I find it really easy. Before I continue, I decided the background was very plain, so I'm just using this bricks stamp again with the sepia color to just give a little bit interest at the back. Since it's hanging down, I thought it could be a flower on a brick wall, and I'm using other purple gelatos to color my flowers. To color the modeling paste with the gelatos, just make sure your modeling paste is completely dry, because otherwise you will smudge it. But it's quite easy and fun. To complete the picture, I'm going to glue a couple of butterflies and my sentiment. I'm going to do the details and call this page done. For the next page, I'm going to be really simple because the background is very busy. I have this transparent butterfly in my stash. It's a gift from my friend. And I am taking a 3D foam tape and cutting it really thin. Because it's transparent, I don't want it to show. I'm just sticking it in the middle where it's white. And I'll just glue it in the middle, letting the background shine. Having these waves at the back, it gave me the idea that I can actually go over them with stickles. I'm using a transparent stickles and following the pattern. This way it will give a really nice shine. I know it's not showing now, but when it's dry in person it looks really nice. I won't do much more on this page because I love how it looks, and it's just beautiful as it is with the background. Another page that I waited for it to dry, that I'm going to color with my gelatos, is this one, and I'm going to color this branch of flowers with gelatos with different colors. I'm using green for the leaves and stem, and I'm going to use some oranges and pinks for the flowers, which is a great combination, and it makes this page so vibrant. And I realize actually I can use this green here and there to make some cohesiveness, and it's actually a metallic one, and it gives a really nice shine over this yellow as well. Because I have acrylic gloss paint on the background, I can use my gelatos on the background too. If I had other sprays, I think I couldn't use as easily. Because it just makes the surface non-porous, this acrylic paint and spray, so it makes it really easy to move around. If it was normal spray, it wouldn't be the same. I'm just gluing my sentiment in a different place this time, and I'm going to use these snowdrops. It's white, just to give some interest to my flowers as well. And while I'm at it, of course, it's hard to stop. I'm just doing some design on the page too, and the usual splashes. On the other page next door, I'm going to use this butterfly. Remember, I created the background using the stencil on the other flip side, and I cut this butterfly to just glue the wings on each side of the edges of the page to make it more interesting. And I'm using again this gelato to give some interest at the background and some variation of color. I think it goes really well. It makes a good contrast and also aligns with the splashes and the butterfly color. And I'm going to stick my sentiment in the middle, a black one this time. I think it goes with the black of the butterfly wings, and I'm doing the usual details. And with that we came to the end of the pages. It's now all finished. This is how it looks in the cover with the wax, and I'm going to do a quick flip through for you to see all the pages. Most of them has stickers, so they have a nice glittery shine, and I love how it's all flowers, butterflies, birds. It's very uplifting. I hope you enjoyed the process and got inspired to do the same for yourselves. I'm going to continue this season's concept. Next one will be summer. I'm sure it will be really nice with some beach concept, vibrant colors, sunshine, and all. It will be uplifting. But I love this one too, with its pastel colors and all the elements in it. I'm going to show you lastly how I created the binding. I do the same process for all my journals. I use an elastic band. For these mini journals, I think you can buy 1mm or 2mm elastic band. These holes are too small for a 3mm. I just put it in the holes and bind it, tie it up in the middle. And for the cover, to hold it nice and neat, I do another one. This is a burgundy color that I had already at home. But you can choose whatever color you want. For all of them, I have these Tim Holtz coins and a couple of little charms that my friends send me actually to remember them. It gives me pleasure, and I use these pins from Ideology as well. And the sentiment I chose for the coin is hope, because to me spring represents hope. And also my name means hope, so it has a double meaning for me. When the spring comes, the flowers and everything come out, and just fills you with happiness and hope. And here it is, it's all ready. I think it's super cute. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up or subscribe or comment under the video. Thank you so much for watching if you are still here, and see you next time.